It Factor. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson, and today we have someone special. Go ahead and introduce us.
Hello, everybody. I am Murlonda Janelle, author, children's book author, and hopefully a new friend of the It podcast.
Yes, sir. So in that, I would say, how are you doing mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Oh, that's a very good question. I love that. So mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm doing good. I probably can do a little bit better physically. As you see, I have this treadmill back here that I need to start utilizing at times to kind of help those endorphins sometimes, but I'm doing good mentally. I mean, struggles come, but they go. So
You're right about that. I like how you put that. Struggles do come and they go. It's a part of life. You
it's a complete part of life.
know, every
Yeah.
day is something new. But hey, we'll be fine. We'll
Yes.
be fine.
Yeah.
Well, and that, man, my first big question is when I seen you and I do my vetting process. I'm looking on IG. I'm just like, hey, this lady is writing books with people that look like me. And I wish
Yes.
I had that when I was a little boy. So, like, just to say, I commend you for that because the
Thank
only book
you.
that I seen growing up like that were Tiki and Ronde Barber football book.
Yes.
And I was like, man, they got somebody got to do more like this. And one of my
Oh,
Sarahs do books like yours as well. So,
okay.
just proud of you for doing it. So, what
Yeah.
got you into doing that?
So, truth be told, I've always loved English. I've always liked writing.
Mhm.
I tell people, and they don't believe this, for the longest, I was anti reading. And one summer, my mom told me, she said, I need you to read 13 books before the end of the summer.
Mhm.
It got to almost the end of the summer, and I hadn't read a book. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I started reading all the time in the car, on vacations, at people's homes. And I'm like, I gotta read, I gotta read. So I just started reading and I loved it. And I'm like, oh, and my mom told me, she was like, I never read any of those books. So you could have, not told the truth about reading them. And I would have never known. And I was like, oh, good to know. But I've always had a love of reading after that.
Mhm.
And I needed characters. So I cheated. I have 4 nephews. And before I started writing about somebody else, I was like, I don't have kids.
Mhm.
I need a character so I can see them
Right.
and write about them. So I just started staring at my nephews and watching them. And
Mhm.
so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use them.
That's amazing.
So it was an accident, complete accident.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And in a way it wasn't. Because I mean, you look, you like, hey, I can write about that. This is my nephews. I can go.
Yes,
And it's so beautiful because they're gonna grow up and say, hey, Auntie really did that like that.
she did it. Yeah.
So,
Oh, they're braggers now. They're like, I'm in a book. You in a book? And I'm like, y'all do know this is not normal, right?
so in there, I would say, what is your it factor? Why do you do what you do?
So initially it was because I love social media. I think social media is good for what it's for.
Right.
But I've watched so many people from my generation change into something that's completely different. So, like for the first book, it was stop copying off of people, be yourself. So, I feel like there's a lot of things I didn't know as a child that if we would put it in a book and explain it to people that they would get.
Right.
And even if you don't understand it the first time, after you read this book a couple times, you'll get it.
Gotcha.
So I don't claim to be the person that knows everything that has to tell people things, but I do try to find things that are so important that we can share and people will get it through repetitive reading.
Got you. And I like that. I feel like that's why I'm an author as well. I feel like if
Mm-hmm.
you read it enough times, you're gonna come to my house or you gonna email me and say, that's what you meant, Jeremy.
Yes.
you know, that's what you was trying to get to do. I'm like, yeah, I'm selling it to you, man, so you can make change, so you can be better. Be better than
Yes.
me. Don't be me.
Please
Don't be me. Be better than me.
be better than me. Yeah, I tell them that all the time. I'm like, your aunt just wants you to be so much better than she was. That's all.
Yeah. So in that, what has been your proudest moment thus far in writing your book?
For
Book.
me, it's been representation, like just the representation. I tell people every time I meet somebody and I tell them about my book, I said, you do realize you're not going to find another author that only writes to boys.
Right.
Now,
Definitely.
mind you, it's hard because right now that's not a thing. So people don't come around with their sons and say, hey, my son is looking for a book. They're normally walking up with a little girl. And when they see that, they're like, and I'm like, girls can read it too, but my characters are boys. Right. So that kind of keeps me going. That kind of keeps me like, motivated. But I want people to know that boys read.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that's like how we started. Like, what I want to buy that book now. I am gonna buy your books as well.
Oh, thank you.
And because definitely we do this donation. Me and my soror that I spoke about earlier. We do donations every year leading up to Christmas to give to a home that we've been giving to for the past 3 years. So I definitely
that's awesome.
That. But the Ronde Barber book and Tiki Barber book, I like it so much because it's the first book I got from the book fair. I played football, so I was like, oh man, Mom, I love this book. But when I looked at your stuff, I said, hey, this is the same type of feeling I got when I saw two Black boys tell their story in that form. And it really inspired me, not only from a football prospect, but it's like, dang, we really can be in books. Like, it don't gotta be like historical, or it don't have to be. It's like they're telling a story about me, of what I'm going through right now. I'm trying to, so definitely.
And I tell people that because I'm like, my nephews, when they pick up books, it's either about, which is no offense to anybody that does it. I tell people I'm not trying to be offensive, but every book they has is going to be like some type of Marvel book, some type of animal book, right. Or they're going to pick up a book that has just some type of superficial train or a car or something. Mm-hmm. And I say, boys want to see themselves. Girls see themselves in books all the time. Everywhere. But my nephews, literally, they have owned these characters. They've asked their parents, cut my hair like that, or I want to wear this now because my character wears this, because they have their middle names in the book. Mm-hmm. It's not their real first names, because I want them to grow into the characters and, people not exploit them and say, hey, that's such and such. So I did make sure of that. But I'm like, put a boy in a book, please. And I will tell you also, the next book is football based.
I can't wait for that right there then. Yeah. Send me that. I need a signed copy, man.
I got you.
Definitely.
It's football based, yes.
Some of the athletes that I had on here, I'm definitely gonna let them know. So NFL definitely let them know so they can promote it and stuff like that. Yeah. Because I feel like that's what this show is for. We changing the narrative. Even me getting married this weekend, getting a master's, that's a part of changing the narrative.
Congratulations.
About it, you got to live it too. You can't just.
Yes. Congratulations on that, because you don't see that either. So big congratulations. Yes.
So much.
Yes.
So I would say, so outside of being an author, which you are an amazing one.
Thank you.
What do you do outside of that? Like what else we do?
So recently, it's been a year now, I am over diversity, equity, and inclusion at a local credit union.
Okay.
Yes, that is an adventure. That's why I'm so happy you spoke to me before we started. I was like, how is your mental? And I'm like, come on, DEI. I love that.
You gotta be inclusive, and you have to ask those questions, because most people go through a month, a week, or even a year, and it's never asked.
Mm-hmm. Yep. My sister asked my nephew that every day when he gets out of school. She's like, how are you mentally? Mm-hmm. Is there anything I need to know that happened exciting today at school? Like, let's talk. Yeah.
Definitely. So, okay. So I'm learning a lot about you. So, what is your ultimate life goal? And it could be anything. It could be multiple.
And so I'm going to say, on a smaller scale, I want to be able to travel without having to think too hard about it. Mm-hmm. I love to travel. I love to go places, because I feel like when you go places, it puts you outside of a comfort zone and you're forced to adapt. Yes. So you, like, even if you go somewhere like, let's just say I go to Washington, not DC, but I go to Washington. Right. It's like, I'm from Louisiana. What we do in Louisiana does not work in Washington. Right. So I have to flip my mindset to be ready. And I think those are the greatest teachers, like getting into a position that you're uncomfortable in and having to adapt.
Yeah, I like that.
So I want to be able to travel without being like, okay, my mortgage is due.
But those are things that gonna happen anyway. You know, we on a 30-day cycle. It's gonna come back. Next week we got a mortgage, gotta do this, gotta pay the car note, gotta do this, gotta pay this,
Yes.
gotta do. And it's like, Jeremy, I get in that mirror and say, Jeremy, hey, you know, especially I have a wife now, they be like, hey,
Yes.
we going regardless.
We're going.
You know, we going regardless of what gotta come up. You know,
Yes.
taking off work. Hey, take off. It's a job.
It's a job.
You do the best you can at it, and we gonna
Mm-hmm.
depart from it. So I
Yeah.
respect you for saying that, because a lot of people don't think that way. And then
Mm-hmm.
time passes, you like, I wish I went to Seattle, Washington. What stopped me?
Wow.
Or I wish I went here. I was scared to go do this.
Right.
Do it.
But that's been my best lessons, like just going somewhere. I traveled out of the country. Now, mind you, I did meet some people when I got there, but I traveled out of the country by myself. I mean, I took those flights, I did the layovers, and I went. And when I showed up, they were like all standing at the gate, like, we were wondering if you were going to make it. And I'm like, but that was the best teaching ever.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
So
definitely. And that's crazy, because I went to a whole university. Went to Clark Atlanta University. Before I graduated, I was in an engineering program, so I had to go to Boston and Northeastern. And I ain't gonna hold you, man. I went up there one time before to visit and stuff, and visiting and living there is different.
yes.
Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I left at HBCU. Okay, PWI, we're gonna do it. And I got there, I was like, what is this? What is going on? But of course, I adapted, and hey, look, I still got friends up there now, good people out there to connect with, you know. So that's a part of life that you have to step out of that comfort zone.
Your biggest lessons are your biggest blessings.
Right. So how important is it for our kids, our teenagers, our adults to see themselves in books that are just for them, that are positive, and that are about, you know, just changing that narrative in a positive way, instead of showing so much negative?
So for me, I think about it and I tell people, everybody's not going to be a trendsetter.
Right.
We have more trend followers. So some people have to see themselves in order to know that that's a possibility.
Gotcha.
And because we have so many people that live in that space that it has to be seen, we have to show it to them. I mean, look at what happened when Barack Obama became president.
Right.
Now you can't tell a young Black male that he can't be president.
Right about that.
Because I saw it. I witnessed it, you know? So it's like, no, once a person sees it, it's like, oh, okay, that's the steps. Now it's also important to help people, nurture them and guide them along the route. But if you see that final ending, or if you see the end of the tunnel, you're like, okay, this is not going to last forever.
Right about that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So in that, before we do close out, do you have any questions for me?
What made you start this? Because I love like your line of questioning and how you highlight different people. So what made you think, hey, this is important to where I want to be that person that highlights other people, or I'm going to take on this responsibility? Because I think this is very good.
It gives me a way to step outside of life that I usually do. You'll go through your routine and you do this. And it's like, I prayed on it. I said in college, I was struggling, going through stuff and trying to be an engineer and trying to do all this stuff. And it was all built up tension off of me. That's something I wanted to do. But after a while, I said, hey, you let me finish this school. Like, if I graduate from here, I promise you I would do something to help change people's lives, like however that looks. And you say that, and then you graduate, get your job, making money, you're like, cool. But then it hit me again, like, hey, you do this. Like, you know, so I was talking to my friend, I was like, you always bring people together. You know how to network. My girl was saying it at the time. And I just went out, stepped out on faith and just started doing it. And the funny thing is, it's easy to reach out to people. The hard part is turning the camera on. That's the hard part. To make sure it worked. Okay, cool. Once you got that good, you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Reaching out to the people is the easiest part ever.
Really? So would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert?
Ooh, I would say that I'm an extrovert that would have introvert tendencies. There we go.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But I love talking to anybody. I talk to a rock, he'll talk back. That person I am. Like, we'll be in the
respond.
Like, I got on a flight to come back after the wedding. We sitting in the seat, me and my best friend, and we sitting there talking. The guy that was sitting in the middle was like, y'all some cool dudes. You just sparked the conversation, became friends, gave him a podcast card. He said he didn't watch podcasts before, but he said, now that we done had this conversation, I'm watching
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
So, you know, it's stuff like that that happens, or me playing sports and want to, dang, I want to go to the NFL, to now interviewing people that are in the NFL, or doctors, lawyers, or people that are authors or teachers. It's just amazing to see so many Black people in different parts of their lives and working professions. So I'm just blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah, that is amazing, because I mean, you get a chance to meet people and see like their true, authentic, this is who I am. Everyday people doing everyday things. So like I said, I commend you for that. That's amazing.
Thank you for that. And then also, every person I meet, just like yourself, they become a part of the family. And we try to work around to where we can get to do it in person. That's how I feel about it. So.
Yeah, because there's a bookstore in North Carolina, I think it is. I'm trying to get there so bad, but I'm gonna wait, and she doesn't know, so hopefully she doesn't see this before I say it. But I want to do my next book release at her shop. Okay. So the first event I ever do for that book, I want to do it at her shop, because she's been very, very instrumental in like my growth or whatever. And I saw something on Instagram that said, it's easy for clients to become your friends, but sometimes it's hard for your friends to become your clients. And I've met the best people online, and I'm just like, I don't even know you that well, but.
Yeah, that's how it is. And another thing I'll leave with before we do close out, never go into things thinking that your audience you grew up with is going to be your audience to see you blow up, because a lot of things that happen, as time goes, people see it. They don't see it until you do something that's big. And I know I get them phone calls. I interview one of these football players. Like if I interview, say, Joe Blow over here, and I treat everybody the same, people are so toned on, dang, he treat them the same way. They're all people at the end of the day.
Yep.
We here to grow together. You know, everybody
That's right.
on top with me. And, you know, people ask me for podcasts. I'm like, man, you not mad that I'm trying to start a podcast? What am I mad for? That means I'm doing something right.
Yes.
There's room at the top for everybody.
Everybody. I tell people that all the time. There's a lot of loaves of bread on the shelf. Just pick which loaf of bread you want to be.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, you ever need anything, or ever need me to shout anything out when it comes to book or anything, let me know.
Yeah. Friends for life now.
Yes, indeedy.
Yeah.
So I look forward to talking to you soon.
Of course. And send me the name of those people, like the lady who you told me about, or the guy about the other book. Let me know, because I love to support other people.
Definitely. I'm gonna everything. I'm about to send you her page now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Right. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Dang. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.